on the Mayan calendar. In fact, he has made some discoveries and has written some seminal works on 2012 that are so influential that many other prolific, what you call New Age authors, maybe metaphysical authors, are all kind of like springing now from his work. You've heard of Jose Arguelles. Anybody? Jose Arguelles? He's a Mexican researcher who, back in 1986, had the harmonic convergence all over the world. And I actually found myself with the harmonic convergence in 1986 in New York City. I didn't even really know how I got there. I mean, I heard about it, I was interested, but I didn't know anything about the Mayan calendar. But I ended up there, and I think I was there for a reason. It was a very powerful experience, and met some amazing people, and learned a lot of stuff. So that was way back when. But anyway, Jose's been very influential. Currently, Kalman is really becoming well-known around the world because he's posited a new theory about the Mayan calendar. I'm going to try to explain it to you. Who here has seen pictures like the 9-step pyramids in Mesoamerica? Okay, they call them step pyramids, or ziggurats is another word for them. And what he suggests is that there are what he calls 9 underworlds. And imagine an underworld is a segment of time in the development of the plan for human consciousness, or consciousness in this universe. So I don't want to confine it to human consciousness. And the way it kind of goes is that the first step of the pyramid was the cellular underworld that was roughly about 16.8 billion years long. And what's interesting is that the reason why he's so popular is that all of he's saying is consistent with archaeological record. That there was this extensive period of time, right around 16.8 billion years, that cellular biological growth was coming to a head, and that's where it made a transition into another phase, with the emergence of mammals, and then, advanced hominids, and then, cave-dwelling societies, hunter-gatherer cultures, and then coming together in tribes, and then beginning to organize as, nations, sovereign nations. So that's kind of the progression. And what's interesting is that what he's saying is that every time he goes into the next underworld, and there's 9 underworlds that consists of 13 days, or I should say 7 days and 6 nights. It's almost like a musical scale. If you look at a scale on piano, you've got your 7 white keys and your 6 black keys. That completes the whole cycle. So that ties in interestingly as well. So the thing that's amazing about Callan's discovery is that every time there's a transition to the next underworld, consciousness accelerates 20 times faster. So what took the cellular underworld to accomplish in 16 billion years was next, the same level of consciousness was achieved in the next underworld, which was under 1 billion years, because it's 20 times faster. And then it goes to the next underworld. I don't have any books here. I've got some back in my cabinet, but I didn't even think I'd be speaking here until someone just told me, "Where's Michael Sharp?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to talk about it." Anyway, so what's relevant for us is now we're way up the scale of the pyramid. We're currently in what's called the galactic underworld. It's a period of 12.8 years. And the galactic underworld comes to an end in early 2011. And then the final underworld, which is the universal underworld, is going to be a period of 260 days. All right, and that's where the Mayan calendar ends. So we've got this phenomena of the acceleration of consciousness 20-fold every time it goes to the next underworld. So I would say, even in the time we live in, I look at the World Wide Web and how it's changed all of our lives. It used to be not long ago that you knew your neighbors, the people that you worked with, the people that you visited. You're expanding social networks as you put them together. But it was pretty much confined within a particular region, wherever you happen to be. Well, now we've got a technology that allows us to connect with anyone, anywhere. And there's been a great advance, I feel, in human consciousness. Because what I've discovered in my own explorations of the World Wide Web and the internet, it's similar kind of to the phenomenon of watching foreign flicks. If you have ever watched a good foreign flick, you come to the realization that people all over the world are just like me. We have the same hopes and dreams. They're not, brutes or uncivilized people. Everybody everywhere is wanting to love their lives, wanting to do well, wanting to raise their children and pass on a legacy, a heritage to their children of a good life. And I think that we're seeing that at an accelerated rate right now, which is the way that we're connecting online with people around the world. My experience is that everybody everywhere is all wanting the same thing, especially in these times, which is peace, hope for the future. So part of the reason we're doing this festival is kind of like we want to jump in because it's becoming, it's coming to our awareness and consciousness right now, and we want to ride this wave, okay, to continue to build up and accelerate. I want to also make reference to Terrence McKenna. There are a couple other reasons why 2012 is so interesting. Yeah. All sorts of things. If you go onto Wikipedia, back in 2012, and you read all the things that are happening that year, there's all sorts of planetary, unique planetary things happening, like alignments of planets. Right around the time of the winter solstice of December 2012, our solar system is going to be passing right into the center of the galaxy. And in my tradition, there's something called the Hunab Ku, or the Mayan butterfly. It's on the wall right over there. The Hunab Ku represents the intelligence that's at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And by the way, a little side note, two amazing recent discoveries in science, maybe you've heard about it. Who heard about this huge rift in space, this gigantic hole where nothing is. It's not a black hole which sucks in time and light. This is something that is complete emptiness, and there's no way to explain it because it doesn't even consist of dark matter. Typically, physicists look into space. Huh? Right, and they can see, here's another Hunab Ku. They can look into space and say, well, we've got stars and matter and planets and all sorts of systems, but between that, you've got dark matter. Okay, at least there's something out there. Well, this huge hole in space is like, there's nothing there. I don't know what it means, it interested me. The other thing, which is very interesting to me, you might have read this, a number of international universities have just concluded a study, and they've all, basically made a press release together. They've documented the fact that inert matter begins to self-organize. Space dust begins to organize along the lines of helixes and double helixes, just like your DNA. Okay? Which again points to me what I already assumed to be true, is that everything in this universe is intelligent, down to the matter of fact. I would suggest that there's only one thing that is, and we are all part of that one thing. We are many cases of that one thing that is. So part of this, galactic underworld that we're going through, as we're going to the universal underworld, when I think of universal, it's going to be an epiphany for many when we recognize, in a moment of transcendence, that there's really only one, all right, that exists, and we're all part of that. And all the illusions of separateness that have kept us locked in our fears and loneliness and held us back and restricted our flow and our potential, we're going to break through that when we recognize that we are all one thing. It's going to be an incredible breakthrough. So I think that's part of it. So anyway, amazing things like this are being discovered in an accelerated way. Intelligence is everywhere, every bit of matter. It's like a hologram, each part reflecting the whole. So anyway, back to Terrence McKenna. Who's familiar with Terrence McKenna here? All right. Terrence is a really influential guy. He's probably the most entertaining speaker, who you've ever listened to. He's deceased maybe about 5 years. But that's, he's famous for a number of reasons. He was a brilliant guy, but he was wanted everywhere just to speak because I'm serious. It's like, listening to Terrence McKenna is like listening to like a classic Led Zeppelin album, or like Humphreys McGee, Anchor Drops, or just like John Coltrane. I mean, the guy rips incredibly with his ideas. So anyway,